Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Shah Noodle and I'm the Events, Membership and Marketing Executive here at Townsville Enterprise. And today's webinar is all about how to manage and grow your business email list. Just a few hospitality things at the top. I'm going to be covering a number of things. This presentation could really go for half a day if I wanted it to, but I just wanted to give you a snapshot on how to build your email database and why it's so important to support your business. But we can dive into other topics around this, like content and things like that, in future webinars if you're interested. So just let me know during this webinar, or you can email tel@tel.com.au if you want me to dive deep into anything else around this webinar. You are more than welcome to submit your questions as well. Just use the Q&A or chat box, and I'll try and address those as they pop up. Or if I miss it, I'll try and come back to it at the end. But there will also be time for questions at the end as well. I am recording this webinar, so it will be available on the Townsville Enterprise website. If you visit the video resources section tomorrow, it will be there, plus this presentation as well. Of course, any questions, anything pops up afterwards that you might not think of today, the best email address to reach us on is tel@tel.com.au. So let's get started. Okay, so this webinar today will cover a number of different things, but the top 5 topics I will be talking about is what is email marketing and why it's so important for your business, when to use email marketing, how to build your email list, how to send marketing emails, and the regulations around it. So the do's and don'ts, and talking about privacy laws and Spam Act as well, which is really important on this topic. So what is email marketing? If you don't currently use email marketing, just to clarify, really we're talking about developing a database of all your contacts. So whether it be current clients or customers, prospects or past clients, it's really a database of all those contacts that you can communicate directly with. So they give you permission to contact them via email, and that electronic direct mail is what we call an EDM. That's when you can send them news, offers, promotional material, anything to do with your business, and it's a direct communication with your customers. So why do we use email marketing? So I like to say, if video killed the radio star, then social media has not killed the email marketing star. And what I mean by that is email marketing has proven to be more effective for your business than just focusing on social media. So social media is really important to build your profile and to reach new audiences, but email marketing has a much better ROI for your business and conversion, because what we're doing is we're basically taking people that might be interested in following you on social media, but actually transferring them into a database because they've given you permission to communicate them. So they're essentially becoming a cold lead to a warm lead, and you have a much better opportunity to develop relationships with them when they're on your database than you do via social media. So social media is brilliant, and I'm not knocking it at all, but it's just one step of an overarching marketing strategy that you should consider for your business. So the other reason why it's so important is because it's much better for customer retention. Again, because they're a warm lead, you can nurture those relationships, and it's much easier to have a return customer than it is to just focus on growing new customers. The other reason why it's so important is because you own that information. You don't own social media. So if Facebook or Instagram close tomorrow and you focused all your energy on growing your followers, there goes your audience. But when you capture and build your database, you own that data. You own the information, and you you control it basically. So that's why we should always try and focus on developing a database and email communication over just following a social media presence. As I said, so social media is excellent, but really you're able to convert better through email communication than you are on social media. The stats that I found for this I thought was quite interesting, and the ROI on average is $44 to every $1 spent on your email campaign. So that's quite significant. So when should you use email marketing? Email marketing is all about building relationships. It's about connection, it's about communication, and it's about nurturing the give and take between you and your clients or your customers. It's about boosting brand awareness and keeping your business top of mind to make sure that your customers always know what's going on. It's great if people are looking for recommendations as well, and you're able to, you're there, you know, you're in front of them every week or fortnight with an email, and someone asks for a recommendation, it's more likely that your name or your business name is going to pop up, and it's that word of mouth as well. You can promote your content, your blog, your resources, your assets, your special offers, which we will dive into further as well, and you're able to generate leads, return customers, things like that, so which I have touched on. So email marketing is really that, that next step from social media where you're able to maintain communication with your customers. So how do you build your email list? Really, this comes about through what we call opt-ins or a lead magnet. So this is where people are giving you permission to email them directly, and you want to give them something in return to say thank you. So an opt-in is when they're opting in to get something back. So be that a weekly newsletter, be it exclusive content, be it for example, if you do online shopping, you might often see like get 20% discount on your first order. So they're all forms of opt-ins that businesses are giving to build their database. This really needs to be of value to the client. So what could be perceived as really valuable to them, like a sweetener, but it really has no cost to your business at the end of the day that you're willing to give away for free. So think about something that's of benefit to them, but of no necessary cost to you and your business. So that's what we do with opt-ins. So other examples that you could offer, depending on what type of business you have, if it's a professional service, maybe it's an ebook with tools and tips that people can download, a PDF, an exclusive discount, templates, checklists, a free 30-minute consult if you have a professional service. Those are the kinds of things that is of value to them, but not necessarily at cost to you. If you already have an opt-in, you can change it. You don't have to have the same opt-in all the time. So you could, as part of your marketing strategy, decide to change it every quarter or every 6 months, and just trial and error. What works better for customers and over something else. You can change it as often as you like. It's completely up to you. The next thing I recommend with building your email list is to build a strategy around it. Because you're focusing on your database and you want to grow it in order to grow your business, it's really important to put a framework around it in order to maintain consistency, because that's when you develop your relationship. So have a think about the type of frequency you want to send out. It can be weekly, it can be fortnightly, monthly, it really doesn't matter as long as it's consistent. And what's the purpose behind it? At the end of the day, we need to remember that your email list and your communication is about your client or your customer. It's not about you and your business. So what will they find of value? What will they want to open your email to receive? if you feel like, oh, well, all I do is sell products, you could create communication around that, like, you know, ways to use your product or different things. Again, I can talk about content ideas until the cows come home, but really you have to think about what is of value to my customer, what will they open my email for. If you're only ever emailing people to sell something, they will unsubscribe because no one likes receiving those sales emails all the time. So think about what your client needs are and create a strategy around that. And the good thing, and we'll talk about this further later on, is that what I love about emails and communication is that you can batch create your content. So if you decide to send out a fortnightly email on communication to your database, you can create 12, 15 emails and then schedule them to go out. So you can really be prepared and ahead of the game. So you're not trying to think, oh, what am I going to talk about this week? Which just gets frustrating, really. So the next thing is promoting your opt-in. To build your email list, you need to promote that you have an opt-in or you have a lead magnet. You're allowed to talk about it. So some ideas where you could advertise it, you can use it on your social media and entice people to sign up. You can add a link in your email signature, embed it into your website or on the sidebar. Make sure it's really prominent if you have high traffic on your website. Encourage sharing. If you've already got people on your database and you want to extend your reach, talk to your database and say, hey, can you please share this with your colleagues or networks or anyone you think might find this interesting as well. You can generate a survey if you want to get some client feedback. Promote it on your social media, and then at the end of the survey, you ask for an email address. You could create a competition, and to enter, they have to provide their email address. You can update your Facebook business page, and at the top there is a sign up button which you can link directly to your opt-in. There's a lot of different ways you can capture emails. If it's at the top of your mind and you really want to grow your database, there are just a number of opportunities for you to promote it. If you have a shop front, you can ask customers to fill out a form and collect their email addresses. I'm sure you've been asked when you go shopping or you're online and people ask, they say, oh, just sign up to our club, it's free, and you hand over your email address. It's all about building a database to grow your business. Okay, so I've talked about promoting the opt-in and encouraging people to sign up. So when do we how do we send marketing emails? This is a $64 million question because it really comes down to your business, your budget, and what your needs are. But I highly recommend looking into an email marketing service that can do this for you. Because if you manage your own database on an Excel spreadsheet, it becomes a full-time job. These are some of the options that I've used in the past. MailChimp, we use here at Townsville Enterprise, ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, and Aweber. They're really good for automating emails, for segmenting your markets. So if you want to differentiate between current clients and past clients or prospects or anything like that, all these services help you to do that. And they're really user-friendly. A lot of it is drag and drop to create your emails, and they all have online tutorials to help you set them up and also help you embed them in your website as well. They're very user-friendly. So what I would recommend is have a look at what your needs are, what your budget. Some of these can be free, but some of them can be quite hefty, depending on the size of your database as well. It might become more expensive depending how many people are on your list, but it really does take the onus off you having to unsubscribe people if they ask to be unsubscribed, and constantly updating it. If it can be automated, it really works for you while you're asleep, and you don't have to worry about it. Okay, the other recommendation before I move on to the next slide is really choosing an email service that can work with your website, for example, whether it's WordPress or Shopify or a Squarespace or similar. Make sure that it can integrate really well, and a lot of these email services also will connect to your social media as well. So if you have a campaign, you can push it out through Facebook or Twitter generally. I don't know if they connect to Instagram, but again, look into them and see what works for you, see what feels comfortable, and go with that one. Okay, regulations. So this is really important. In 2014, I believe it was, the privacy laws were updated, and a lot of the power all the power sits with your client or your customer. Giving their email address to you, it's personal identification. So you must be able to communicate with them. I believe it's how their information is stored, how long it's being stored for, how it's being used, how it's being kept, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not a lawyer. I highly recommend you talk to a lawyer that specialises in privacy law and knows about the Spam Act, that can look over your privacy policy and be able to update it to include information on direct marketing. And when you create your opt-in, there needs to be a link to the privacy policy or your terms of use so that people are aware of how you store their information. It's also really important that they're able to unsubscribe at any time. Again, the power is in their hands, and they want to know that they can opt out when they want to. I recommend visiting the Office of Australian Information and Commissioner website. There's a lot of information about privacy law and the Spam Act on there. Also, the other website I recommend is the Queensland Business website, business.qld.gov.au. There's a lot of state-specific legislation there as well. Some laws can differ across various states, but if your business head office is based in Queensland, legislation generally is the rule. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so talk to a lawyer about it, but this is just some of the basic information. Okay, so let's get into the do's and don'ts of email marketing. So as I mentioned at the top, when you capture an email address, you're basically gaining their permission to communicate with them. So you need to ask permission to capture their personal information. So that includes anything identifiable: name, address, phone number, email address. And when you create your opt-in, so there's a little example I've created there on the slideshow, you're saying subscribe and stay updated. So you're telling them that you're going to be communicating with them. And they know what they get in return. So whatever your offer is, make sure it's clearly visible and they know what they're getting. You must include an unsubscribe, which I've already mentioned. It is illegal not to. So some of those service providers that I showed you earlier, like MailChimp, for example, you can't delete the footer because you have to have unsubscribe in there all the time. Otherwise, it's illegal. And you must use your company name or your business email address in order to communicate. You can't use a personal email address. Otherwise, it is considered spam. And if you are selling to citizens within the European Union, you need to be GDPR compliant. So again, talk to your lawyer about this. They will know a lot more, or Google GDPR compliance because there are other specific laws around that if you are selling or communicating with anyone in the EU. So the don'ts. Oh, I forgot to mention the relevant subject lines. You have to have a relevant subject line within the email, because if it doesn't pertain to what's in the email, again, it's seen as spam and the consumer is allowed to lodge a complaint. So the don'ts. Don't add anyone to your database unless you have verbal or written permission to do so. So if you're at a networking event and you get someone's business card, talk to them first and say, hey, do you mind if I add you to my database and keep you up to date with what's happening in my business? That's sufficient. They need to know why they're getting an email from you. If you start emailing people randomly and they're on a database, that's a huge no-no and can get into a lot of trouble. So don't use your personal name or a personal email address to communicate. Make sure it is always related to your business, unless your name is your business name, like Oprah or something like that. And the biggest don't of all is definitely never share contacts, never sell them, never swap them, never transfer them. You are in charge of that information and that personal data. So you're the one who will be responsible if anything happens to it. So for example, if you wanted to email a colleague who is in another state, your database, that's a huge no-no. We can't do that. It needs to be encrypted and it needs to be completely confidential. At no time can that email be intercepted. And the email and the information be accessible. Again, talk to your lawyer about that stuff, but they're the top don'ts that I really know about. Again, this is another reason why I highly recommend using a professional email marketing service, like the ones I listed earlier, because they can automate all those subscribes and unsubscribes, and it's not up to a person. It's instant then, and you don't have to spend time going through your emails, going who has unsubscribed lately, and then manually doing it for you. It's really important to have that professional automation so that you can be confident that it's all being looked after. So there are my do's and don'ts. Just to wrap it up, really what I want to stress about your email database is that it's not just an email, but your database is human. So make sure that you communicate with them. The rule of thumb is that you give 3 times and you ask once. So don't just sell, sell, sell. Make sure that you're building in relationships with them, maintaining communication, and valuing that relationship, because that's where your customer return comes from, and that's where the word of mouth and your business will grow organically. Really, that's the power of your email marketing. So make sure you communicate with them. If you want any further tips and tricks on this kind of stuff, look, I recommend Googling it off the top of my head, or again, reach out to tel@tel.com.au. And I'm more than happy to talk about this in other webinars if there's anything further you want to dive into, like content or anything like that. So this video will be available on our Business Assist Hub on townsvilleenterprise.com.au, but I'm just going to check if there's any questions that's popped up. Any questions? You're welcome to drop them into the Q&A box. Nothing that I can see so far. But reach out to us. Email marketing is really powerful, as I said at the top of this presentation. And when you create a strategy around it and you do it with intention and you want to grow that database, your business will thrive as a result. So thank you everybody for joining me today. This will be available on our video resources section of our website really soon. And yeah, take care. Thanks. Bye.